Hello friends and welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make a Southern style pork chop sandwich. So what you see on my counter is what we're going to use to make this. There's really not a lot of ingredients going into this. Basically most everything you see here is going to be used to make the seasoning and the breading that's going to go on the outside of the pork chops. Now, I have pork here that I cut the bone out of, but you can use boneless. It's all up to you what type you want to use. It's just whatever you got your hands on. So we're going to start out in some kind of a platter. We're adding a half a cup of flour, a fourth of a cup of Italian breadcrumbs, a fourth of a cup of cornstarch, and then we're going to add some seasoning and stuff to this to give this a bunch of flavor. So next up, you're going to use a fourth of a teaspoon of salt, a fourth of a teaspoon of pepper. Then we're going to add in a fourth of a teaspoon of garlic powder. Then after we get that in, we're adding a half a teaspoon of chili powder. And then 1 tablespoon of Memphis seasoning, which basically is anything like a pork seasoning, chicken seasoning. You can actually substitute whatever you can find for this because it's just going to add to it no matter what you're doing. It's just going to pump the flavor of this. So once everything's in, we're going to mix this up and make sure that all that seasoning is mixed throughout the flour and the breadcrumbs get distributed, and same thing with the cornstarch, just to give this a good turnaround to make sure everything is mixed together. So use a spatula or whatever you have to do. If you have a spoon, go for that. And then when we get this all mixed up, we're going to get ready to mix up something wet to actually dip the pork in. So set that to the side. We're going to start out with 1 egg in this. You're going to need a decent sized bowl for this. Break up your egg before you put anything else in there. And then afterwards, we're going to add a half a cup of buttermilk. Now the buttermilk is going to give this a lot of kick of flavor because it's not just like putting regular sweetened milk into something. It doesn't have much taste to it. This is actually going to have a bit of a flavor to it. Once we mix in the egg, it's great. Now you're going to have an option coming up here because I will put in 1 tablespoon of hot sauce. If you don't like hot sauce, you don't have to use it. I think that it actually gives a lot of flavor. It's not going to make this like terribly hot. It's just going to add a little bit of heat to it, a little bit of flavor, just to give it a little something something. You don't have to put this in, but I think you should try it. It just might actually give you some flavor that you weren't expecting, but it's not going to be terribly spicy. So go ahead and mix this up completely because we want to make sure that this is completely mixed together before we set it to the side and move on to this next step. So once you're done with that, we're going to take our pieces of pork and put them in a bag or baggie or whatever you have. Now, like I said, mine were cut off the bone. You can get the boneless kind, whatever you want. And we're going to take a mallet to these and basically just beat them. If you don't have that, you can do like a rolling pin or something that's heavy that you can beat them with. Because we're not only like beating these out a little flatter, so they're going to actually be bigger on the bun. We're also tenderizing these as we go. So we just want to go ahead and pound on these on both sides, flip them a couple times, and just keep doing it until 1, they've gotten a lot larger, and 2, they're actually tenderized a lot better because that way you're not going to have any toughness when you're eating these because you really don't want that. Then we're going to bring them over and we're going to put them into the bowl that we mixed up the buttermilk in and really get them soaked. And you can like actually let them sit in there for a half an hour if you wanted to, just to actually soak up some of the buttermilk flavor. But also they're going to be really wet for when the time that we go to use them. So if you want to sit them in there for a while, do it and let them get some flavor on them. And then bring them over and put them into the breading mix that we just made up. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring them over, we're going to coat them, we're going to bring them back, dip them back in the buttermilk mix again, and then bring them back and put them back into the breading again, just to get a really good outside, because we want these to have enough on the outside to actually get a crunch when we fry them, because we just want to make sure that they have a very thick outside coating. So just go ahead and work your way through all of these. Now mind you, you only need like 1 of these per sandwich, so there's enough here to make 3. You could do like 3, 4, 5, whatever you want to do, because there's probably enough mix here to do another 1 or 2 of these. So just go ahead and figure out how many you actually need, and then we're going to get them completely done. Now mind you, in the meantime, you're going to need a large skillet to fry these in and some oil. So once they're completely coated, we need to actually have that pan warming up with the oil in it, so that way they'll be ready to fry as soon as you put them into it. So go ahead and make sure you got your pieces all completely coated. Put enough oil in there to where there's probably at least a half an inch or so of oil in your pan. Put it on medium high. As you can see, mine was already heated up as before we got to it. And just put your pieces in there. Now we're going to cook these until they get to an internal temperature of at least 145 degrees, possibly even 150 to be on the safe side. But what you're going to do is cook them for around 6 to 7 minutes. That means about 3 minutes on each side. But you want to make sure the outside gets brown and crunchy looking, and that's what we're aiming for here. So if you wait 3 minutes, flip them, and then cook the other side, and you think they don't look like they're crunchy enough on the outside or brown enough, you can keep cooking them a little while longer. The best thing about this is the outside's going to be crunchy, but the inside's going to be juicy, because we're not like doing this in a way to dry these out. We're just basically doing it to where we're cooking them to temperature. So if you have a thermometer, check them. And then once we're done, we're going to cut a roll for this. Now I use a Kaiser roll because it's a little harder, a little thicker, and it's better when you're putting a hunk of meat on like this rather than like a hamburger bun that might just like start to tear apart on you or get soggy or whatever. When you put this on here, you can add anything you want to it. I mean, you could do mayonnaise, you could do like lettuce, onions, anything you want to do. Like even if you were doing this kind of like a burger, you just put anything on it you want to add to it. And this has the best flavor. And the best thing is you could pair this with some French fries or whatever, and you have an amazing meal. And trust me, give it a try. You might just like this. It has that kind of a great taste. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out the Southern Mountain Kitchen website, where you can get a free recipe, check out the cookbooks available from the Southern Mountain Kitchen, and if you'd like to, you could order a cookbook at a discounted price, cheaper than Amazon, with shipping that is also cheaper than Amazon. So if you get a chance, check it out, and I hope you have a great day.